If you're an extremely busy person and working out falls to the bottom of your priority list, then this video is for you. And when I say busy, I don't mean unmotivated. I mean, you're somebody who has kids or work or responsibilities or an unpredictable schedule. And all of these things leave you feeling mentally exhausted at the end of the day. So when you don't work out, it's not because you're not motivated, it's because the schedule that you have doesn't fit your life. In this video, I'm going to break down the best workout schedule for busy people, and it's gonna be something that is realistic, something that's sustainable, and something that actually works when your time and energy are limited. If you're new here, my name is Will, and I'm the owner of X4 Highland Park. We're a HIIT studio here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I've helped hundreds of busy people just like you in this exact situation build consistency without overhauling their life entirely. What usually happens is that people have this limiting belief that in order for them to transform their fitness or transform their health, they need to have this perfect routine that completely transforms their entire life. And what that actually does is the opposite of what they want it to do. It actually causes people to start to fall apart, and it leads to a lack of consistency. So as a result, you end up not actually working out. And that's what this whole video is gonna be about. How can we actually create a system or a schedule that's gonna allow us to stay consistent? Because consistency is going to be the thing that's gonna allow us to see those results. And that's where I wanna introduce to you the 168-3 rule. And all that means is that there are 168 hours over the course of an entire week. And when there's 168 hours over that week, they're split up into so many different areas of our life. So what we need to do is we need to look at our week and we need to find 3 hours of those 168 that we can dedicate towards working out. Those are gonna be your hours, not your time to focus on work, not your time to focus on any other responsibilities that you have, but that's your time to focus on yourself and you working out. And I know that that sounds crazy. It might sound like 3 hours a week isn't enough for you to actually see results, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. But once you start to view this as 3 hours a week, what's gonna start to happen is that fitness will start to feel doable again. It's not gonna feel like that complete change of your life where everything has to be different and everything has to be focused towards this goal. It becomes something that's sustainable and something that you can accomplish. And there's 3 main reasons for why this actually works really well. So let's take a look at the first one. And number 1 is that this doesn't compete. And we touched on that a little bit, but what that means is that this time is dedicated to you, meaning that you're not worrying about work, you're not worrying about your family. Everything is blocked off so that you can stay focused on your workout. Now, the second thing that we have is that you're not overhauling everything. You're only going for 3 hours a week. And so as a result, recovery becomes a whole lot easier. And we obviously want recovery to be easier because when we feel better, we're able to keep going back. We're able to show up the next day because our body doesn't hurt as bad. And when there's less demand on your body, it makes it easier for consistency to build. It makes it easier for you to see those results. Now, the last one that we're gonna look at, number 3, another simple one, is that this system isn't one that's designed to break. And that means that when you have a stressful week, that means when things are starting to go haywire and you don't see them going that way originally, you still have this system set in place, this 3 hours a week that you've dedicated to yourself that is gonna stay consistent. That's gonna be this common denominator that's gonna propel you forward and help you start to see those results. You're gonna build this habit that sticks and you're gonna see things start to change. Now I know that all of that sounds good in theory, but what does the actual application look like, or what is that actual schedule? So I kind of want to view these as ground rules. So that's what we're going to look at them as. The first ground rule that we're going to have is that you're working out 3 times a week. And I know that's obvious. We talked about it already, the 3 hours, but that's step number 1. That's rule number 1, is that we're working out for 3 hours a week or 3 days a week. All right. Step number 2, or ground rule number 2 that we have here, is that this session needs to be somewhere between 45 and 60 minutes. That's where we're getting that full 3 hours from. The third thing, number 3, is that this workout should be full body focused. And that one's a little bit more variable, but we want to make sure that we're actually getting in a workout that is treating our entire body, not skipping leg day or only hitting our arms. So that's the third one. And then the last one, which is more like a bonus than it is an actual rule to this, is that you're working out at the same time each day. And that just makes the consistency easier. That makes it easier for you to know that at this time on this day, it's almost like an appointment on your calendar. You know that if you had a dentist appointment, you weren't gonna skip that dentist appointment, you had it blocked off on your calendar. And I've seen that with a lot of people when they actually do that as a work appointment or as an appointment in their life, they're able to get that consistency even easier because nothing else is gonna stop them from going to that appointment. And when you structure your weeks this way, you're gonna see that 168-3 rule in action. And I will say that this might not be the fastest path to get you the results, but this is the fastest path to consistency. And the consistency is important because that's where you're gonna get real long-lasting results. I want you to be able to see the effects of this implemented in your life right now. I want you to see those effects years down the road, not just 6 months from now, not just a year from now, because if you don't build that consistency, once you reach that point, you'll kind of go backwards. You won't be able to continue moving the ball forward. So we want to build consistency. We want to build the habit so that it'll stick and you can continue reaping the benefits of that long down the road. What usually happens when people start out, and you might even be somebody who's in this position, is that people usually overshoot, and that leads to them feeling burnt out. And there's actually a circle or a cycle that displays this, and so I want to break that down for you here. Let's talk about day one. When you begin working out, you usually feel really motivated, you feel good about yourself, you're ready to go to the gym, and you do. So you're starting motivated. Well, you're able to make it a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you miss a day. So that leads you to that second point. You've now missed a workout, and that doesn't feel good. That usually makes you feel discouraged, especially if you were motivated and you didn't miss a day before. So that leads you to the bottom part of this cycle, which is that you feel behind. And that's completely normal, especially when you're just starting out. And so when you feel behind, you now no longer want to continue feeling that way because it makes you feel bad. And instead of sitting there deciding that you want to go back to the gym or you want to keep the cycle or break the cycle and continue moving forward, you end up doing the opposite, which is that you end up quitting. And so this is a cycle. So you start motivated, then you miss a day. That's the first step of this cycle. When you miss a day, it leads you to feeling behind. That's the second stage of this cycle. When you feel behind, usually that leads you to quit. Now, that period of time that you stay out of working out could be different, right? It could be a month, it could be a year. For some people, it ends up being 5, 10 years. And so eventually you get back to that point to where you decide, I'm ready to go, and you feel that motivation again. So you quit, but then you start motivated again. And that finishes off the cycle. But what that does when it finishes the cycle is it also repeats the cycle. So we have to figure out a way to break out of this all or nothing mindset, which is this 168-3 rule. That's the thing that's going to help you build that consistency at the beginning. Now, I want to give you an example of what I help most of my people do when they come into the gym. When people show up here, typically they start out with group training or HIIT classes, and I have a whole video talking about what HIIT classes are. So if you're interested in that, you can go back and watch that. But what being a member of a group class gym does is that it gives you a lot of structure. Now, some of those things that fall under that category of structure is that you have scheduled class times. So when you go to the gym, you know that you're going to the gym every single day at a specific time. And you're also going to have other people there with you, which makes it even easier for you to show up at that time. The other thing that's structured is the workouts. There's no more guessing what you need to do the next day, or if you don't like doing a specific thing, it doesn't matter because it's already written for you. You don't have to worry about doing things you don't like or doing things you do like because it's already done for you. And the third thing that happens when you go to these group classes is that you're going to be able to get some immediate feedback from your coach. And that's the thing that's going to help you propel forward. They're going to tell you what technique should look like. They're going to be able to tell you how hard you need to push or how heavy the weight should be. And those are the things that are a lot harder to do when you don't know how to do them yet. You might be able to in the future, but right now having a coach there walking you through everything is going to help you grow faster than if you were trying to figure it out on your own. And going back to talking about the workouts or talking about doing or not doing things that you do or don't like, the workouts in group classes are actually going to be a balanced program. And for us, that means that over the course of a week, or for you, over the course of your 3 days that you're going to the gym, you're getting an even distribution. So we talked about the workouts being full body. One day might be full body, one day might be conditioning based, one day might be strength based, or that full body day might be a combination of them. Whatever that looks like, when you're going to the group classes and the workouts are structured for you, you're gonna get that combination of strength and conditioning that you need. So by removing all of these decisions, you're actually gonna save yourself time. You're no longer gonna be wasting time making decisions that are already gonna be made for you by going to a group class gym. And so when you combine all of these things, when you combine the structure with the balanced program, with no wasted time, all of those things are gonna work together to create a support system to where you're no longer relying on motivation, and you can start actually building a habit and building the discipline muscle. When I think about this, I know that it sounds extremely simple, and there's part of me that feels like it's almost too good to be true. So a couple questions come to mind, and I wanna look at those. So the first one is 3 hours in the gym actually enough? And when we say enough, we mean enough for me to actually get results, because that's ultimately what we're going to the gym for. It's because we want to see the progress. And the answer is yes, but there's a lot of other things that have to go well with that in order for you to see the results. So I want you to forget about all of those things. I want you to focus on the working out alone right now, because the 3 hours will be enough by building the habit. When you build the habit, that is when you're gonna start to see those results. And we'll touch more on that in a second. Now, the next question that comes to my mind is, what happens if I miss a day? And I want you to hear me say that it's completely normal for people to miss a day. You're going to miss a day. Everybody does. The most important thing when you do miss a day is that you don't miss a second day. So show up the next day, get your workout in, make up your day, and then we'll continue moving forward. We gotta build that habit. That's the most important thing right now. And the last question that comes to my mind is, what if I want more? And that does happen. Sometimes when you start working out and you do start to see a little bit of results or a little bit of consistency, you realize that you actually like working out more than you initially thought. And more is okay. We can eventually add another day, but you have to earn the right to add more. You have to be able to sustain less before you earn the right to add more. And the answer to that is through consistency. I want to give you 3 simple steps to how you can actually start doing this and implementing this right now during this week. So let's take a look at step number 1. And in step number 1, we're going to choose 3 days. We already talked about that. That's basically what the rule is. You're gonna choose 3 days this week that you're gonna go to the gym. That leads us to step number 2, which is that you're gonna choose a time. You're gonna choose one time on the calendar that you are able to go to the gym and work out, which then leads us to step number 3. And step number 3 is arguably the most important of this. It's that you're gonna commit to 3 weeks. And when we commit to those 3 weeks, we're going on our 3 days, we're going at the same time every day. And then after those 3 weeks, you're gonna be able to develop that habit. You're gonna be able to see the consistency and see the fruits of your labor. And that's what we're looking for right now. We want that feeling so that we can continue going forward. It becomes a non-negotiable. Now, before we close out, here's the part that I really want you to hear. I'm only asking you to commit to 3 hours out of 168 hours of a week. You can do that. And what happens is over time, you will start to see results. If your goal is to lose weight, the fitting into your clothes isn't the only thing that you're gonna feel. Fitting into the outfit that you used to fit into is gonna help you feel more confident. It's gonna help you to feel more energy. It's gonna help you to have a greater sense of pride. And what all of these things do is that they give you more control. You are now in control, and you're gonna start to notice these things outside of just going to the gym or outside of the clothes that you can now fit back into. You're gonna stop beating yourself up for falling off, and you're gonna be able to be more consistent in other areas of your life. You might see that show up in work. You might see it show up in your mindset, or you might even see it in how you show up for the people around you. So I wanna leave you with this. I want you to start with something that actually fits your life. That's the most important part. And when you start with something that fits your life, everything else is gonna start to grow around that. And that's what we're after right now. So if you want more frameworks just like this one made for busy people to help you get real lasting results, then make sure you subscribe and make sure you stick around.